Hi guys, my name is David, and today's episode is a special one. You know why? Because it's Ansom's birthday. So happy birthday, Ansom! Hi,
Uh,
Ansom.
Hi, if you're watching this, it's not too late to send me happy birthday message. So
Yeah,
send me the happy birthday
yeah.
message.
Happy
So
birthday,
happy birthday.
handsome.
Yeah, great. So on today's episode, we've got a special guest in the house. She's a counselor, and she's a very pretty woman. I pray.
Hi, David.
Thanks for
Thank
joining
you
us
for
on
the
the show.
compliment.
Thank. Thanks for joining us today. So, real quick, Ansom, how was your birthday? Tell us about it in 30 seconds.
It was really it was normal up until towards the evening when some folks decided to do pam for me.
Oh, so you had pa?
Yeah, by me it
Was
was
it a
good.
surprise?
Yeah.
Wow.
Were you
They pulled it off.
surprised?
I'm sure you must have seen.
But the video I
online.
saw, you just look still like.
And that's my surprise mood.
Oh, okay, okay, great. That's fine.
Your surprise was surprised.
Yes.
All right, real quick,
Yeah.
let's go straight into the topic of the day. So we want to talk about grief. We'll talk about the story, the process, and the recovery, and straight up into it. Do you want to share a grief story? It could be yours. It could be someone you've counseled before, or maybe I should say you should introduce yourself and what you do. Yeah.
Okay, hi, raw materials. I'm here. Hi, raw materials. I'm here. That's what you guys are called. My name is Priye. I am, like David said, a counselor. It's one hat of many. But for this purpose, we just leave it at counselor. Grief is not a topic that is very easy to talk about, no matter how much time has passed. And the truth is, everyone handles grief differently.
Yeah.
And over time, in counseling people, I've now come to accept that it's not a straitjacket. You can't expect A to handle grief the way B handles grief. And so the more we learn to accept and respect people's methods of handling grief, the better for us all, as a
Yeah.
society. So my first experience with grief was when I was 13. I'm the oldest of 6 children.
Oh.
I'm a twin, but my twin brother was like 3 minutes older than me. But you know how we women are more responsible than boys. So it seemed like I was the oldest one. And I was 13 years old. I remember that day just like yesterday. And this was 2000, the year 2000. Sorry, it was November of 1999.
Oh, okay.
I was just finishing my junior WAEC, and I remember that just after we finished, there was somebody there to pick me up. And you know how after exams you stay for like a few more days
Yeah.
before. And my parents were really strict. They're not ones that would say, okay, because exams are over, come home. No. So I was surprised to see, someone there to pick me up. And then when I got home, I saw cars parked outside. And I got here and I found out that my mom had passed.
Oh.
And it was devastating for me. As far as I'm concerned, I was just beginning to enjoy my mother. Because at 13, then you're beginning to understand certain things. You're asking questions about periods and then other things. And, that bond was just starting to take off. And my youngest brother was 1, and the one after him was 3. And so, we were all just really little. And it was very tough, very, very tough. Because I remember during the burial process, everyone was saying, oh, Priye, now you are the mother, you're
At
your father's.
13?
Yeah,
Wow.
at 13. And
Did that put you under any form of pressure?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because, like I said, my younger brother was 1. So when my younger siblings will have like sleepovers, what is sleepover? Sleep what over? I had children to take care of,
But in retrospect, right, if you, just because someone is watching and maybe you happen to be in that situation where you have to counsel someone or say something to someone, Do you think it's a good thing to say, you know what, now you're the father, now you're the mother, you're the man of the house, now you need to step up?
Very
Yeah.
wrong. Absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. And, you know, I've counseled people and I've told them that you cannot give what you don't have. And the truth is, whether we like it or not, we need to be selfish. When I say selfish, I mean you need to be happy
Yeah.
to make others happy. You need to, you know, find contentment with yourself. You know, you need to accept that I need help to be able to help others. I mean, at that age, I wanted to be mothered. I don't want to
Yeah,
mother
true.
no one. You know, so all of that pressure affected me through the rest of my life, you know, into making decisions that were to please others because, you know, I was on a very high pedestal that my younger ones had to follow. And so every decision I made from that year up until maybe a few years ago
It
was
wasn't for you.
based on, no, it wasn't for me. It was based on, oh, how would my decision affect this person? How would my dad feel about this? How will my sisters? I mean, I don't know if it's okay to say this here, where it's raw conversations.
sorry, go for
I
it.
literally stayed a virgin till I was 26 because I wanted to set a high standard for my younger ones. But the irony of that was this: my younger sister was already having sex.
Oh.
But because she knew I wasn't,
Yeah,
she couldn't even tell me.
you.
Yeah.
It was when I was going to pop it, and then she now goes, you know, you have to do this. And I'm like, how do you
did
know
you
these
know?
things? And she's like, oh, okay, it happened that year. So, I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, it all still boils down to you. No matter how you're trying to make decisions to please other people, people will not make decisions necessarily to please you.
Yeah.
So you always have to do what makes you happy, not at the detriment of other people's happiness and peace. I mean, there's a thin line, there's a borderline when we say being selfish. But yeah, I wish, you know, I was naughtier more.
Yeah.
I wish you know, there are certain things I wish I did when
You
I was
did
when you were
younger.
growing up.
Yeah.
I wish I enjoyed my teenage years,
Yeah.
but I didn't. You know, and it made me very rigid because even in relationships, I was very rigid about certain things because I had set such a high standard. You know, so
Okay,
yeah, that
so-
was what happened.
So if I may ask real quick, but your dad is still alive, right?
Very much so.
Okay, great. So what was the transitioning like? Was he able to fill the two gaps?
Oh,
Of
my
course.
dad was amazing. Oh, my dad was one of a kind. Just a few days ago, we were talking about it. Like, because my younger brothers were very little, his siblings asked to take them from him.
Yeah.
Like, they wanted to share my brothers, and my dad said no. My dad stayed 8 years after my mom passed before he got married again.
Wow.
And the man filled in shoes that even women couldn't fill.
Wow.
My dad never missed anybody's visiting day. And you know how the school curriculum is? It was almost back to back. My twin brother was in NMS in Kaduna at the time. I was in Jos. My sister was in Faith Academy. My siblings were in Lagos. He would literally do like a tour round. He never missed anybody's visiting, or what he would, you know, he was amazing. I give that to him. He filled in the shoes. He was amazing.
Let me ask a question quick. During your process of healing, right, what was the most difficult thing you had to heal from? Was it memory? Was it the reality of the fact that that person is no more with you? What was it? What was it like during that process?
So, again, like I mentioned earlier, grief is different, and as funny as it may sound, I've lost my mom and I lost my twin brother, and both experiences were very different.
You want to share how you lost your twin brother?
twin
Yes,
brother.
I lost my twin brother when we were 24.
Wow.
We were in 300 level, and my twin brother's death was very shocking because he wasn't ill, nothing. You know, he was at home for the weekend, and then he encountered armed robbers and he was shot. Now, in answering the question you asked, I would have to use the grief of losing my twin brother, because for my mom, there was no time to grieve. I had to just step into maturity. But for my twin brother, I was older and he was literally yanked from me. And so that was very, very difficult because I felt like my other half had gone. And I always said to myself, Tonya, you always seemed like you're faster than me. So you even, were faster to leave this earth before me. And it felt empty. I felt very empty. And so in healing from his own grief, it was more difficult, and it was more deliberate. Deliberate in the sense that I have to live this life, not because, I have to live this life because life is a gift.
Yeah.
Not that I'm privileged to.
Yeah.
I'm sure he didn't want to pass when he did.
Yeah.
And you know how I had to deliberately, also come out of that grief and not hold on to the pain. Because my brother was someone that would always say, instead of seeing you in pain, I'll rather carry that pain. And so he won't be happy to see me crying, or my brothers, in pain because of his absence. So as much as we could, we mourned him more in content that he's in a better place, he's happier, and he will not be happy seeing us grieve for him like this.
Okay,
So it's different.
Yes, I'm going to ask you this here. There's a saying that you never recover from a grief, yeah? So how's it been for you with that?
It's very true. You never recover. What happens is every day is a healing. And you reminisce. I mean, for years, I didn't think of my mom as a vacuum.
Yeah.
Up until I had my first daughter. And then that feeling of her not being there rushed back in, because my mom was here, she would have, help with the baby, and do all the things like omugo.
Omugo.
I didn't have that, and it was not even like I had a mother-in-law that did that.
Yeah.
So it was very obvious for me. And I know that over time, maybe when my daughter is getting married, I would have said, my mom would have been, So
Yeah.
you have experiences that remind you of that.
Okay.
And so what you do is you tell yourself that this person loved me deeply enough for me not to be in pain. And so even when you reminisce on their absence,
Yeah.
for me, that's how I've handled it.
Yeah.
Even when I reminisce on their absence, it's more like they would be happy to see me happy.
I've got one very personal question. You have the right not to answer. You have two beautiful kids. I've seen them. Do you sort of feel you want to give them all your mom couldn't give to you, and then does that put you in a place of fear at times? Like, I don't want it, even if when you have a dick, like, I don't want anything to happen to me because of my kids.
Yes,
they can't be through what I've been through and all those kind of thing. Yeah.
So even if you've not lost a mom, the truth is, the minute you become a mother, you are afraid of everything. If you didn't have fear of flying, when you're on the plane, you're like, my kids die, they will suffer. If I die here, my kids will suffer. So even aside that,
Yeah.
But in answering your question, it was the decision to be present for my kids that helped me walk away from a toxic marriage. Because, I was suicidal twice. And it was the second time I said, Priye, if you go, imagine all the years that you wished your mom was there.
Yeah.
And she wasn't. Your children were, I would say Ariel and Aaron will not forgive you for being selfish, that you couldn't be there for them. You put your own feelings before them. So it's the decision to be present for them. Like, I want to be there when they have their own babies. Nobody was there for me.
Yeah.
I want to be able to see them wear their wedding gown.
Yeah.
Nobody was there for me. I want to help them make decisions in marrying a partner. I want to help them become better women, Christians, watch them, because nobody did that for me. So it's more like that, yeah.
Okay, great. Any misconception? What kind of misconception have you faced when people, in all of you've mentioned, losing your mom, losing your twin brother, walking away from a bad marriage? So, does it come with stigmatization? It's
Absolutely. Maybe not loss. On some level, some people don't go into long-term relationships if they don't have both parents in the picture, because they feel that this person upbringing will not be sufficient enough. there are many people that believe that unless you grew up in a close-knit family, you don't have it all together. So there's that level of stigmatization. I mean, I was told once that I don't know how to give love because I did not grow up with love. Yeah, someone said that to me because
that's harsh.
my mom, because my mom wasn't there. So you experience things like that. But however,
How do you deal with it?
so I know who I am now, and I say it to people without sounding quirky. I am an amazing person. And
Yes,
I
you
don't
are.
need to convince you
Yes.
that I am. You know,
Ansem is giving his consent, yeah?
Yeah. He knows me on a level where I do not seek validation from
Yeah.
anybody anymore.
Way to
I
go.
don't need to explain to you that I'm one of a kind. So
Evidence day.
so whatever impression you have
Yeah.
about me, I'm not going to take my time, waste my time trying to convince you
Yeah.
or whatnot. So if you come up and say, oh, she grew up without a mom, she won't be able to be motherly.
I mean,
That's your opinion.
I mean, if I could,
People see me with my girls and it was like, wow, PA, you are doing amazing. And I'm like, yeah, I know.
yeah.
So,
I mean, like I said earlier, like I've seen your girls before, and I feel they're amazing. They're good kids. They're bright kids. We kind of share a bit of similar story in the part of losing
Yeah, I was
parents.
about to
Yeah,
come to you.
yeah. I know someone was waiting for that
Yes,
kid.
I was about to come to
Yeah.
you because, especially for men, they really don't open up to heal.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're not making this episode about me.
No, it's not about anybody. It's about grief.
I know, I
Maybe
know.
we need a counseling
Yes.
session.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you this real quick. And so it took, I mean, that's my mom about 24 years ago, and I had a very pretty rough journey. And lived with uncle, lived with auntie, lost my dad about 9 years plus ago. And then the journey was never smooth, trust me. But then that brought out the ruggedness in me to say, I have a saying that say if you give up, now you mess up. Like you can't afford to give up and all of that. And like you said, it's hard for men to really open up on this thing. So I'm going to share something very intimate. So it was the old grief process was burning me so bad. Like it was really, really burning me so bad that I got married and I didn't even tell my wife so many things about this. And I felt, oh, there's a lot I was holding back from her. Not because I was hiding them, but because I needed to just process them first and feel like, okay, is this what I want to talk about? And like you said, the fear was also in me. And so that day we were in London and then we were on the park and I said, you know what, we need to talk, so let's take a walk. And then we're walking around the house and then I told her all my story that I could remember from I was 10 years old till that day. And, you know, I broke down, I cried. And that day I just said to myself, you know what, that's it.
So what gave you the courage to pick that day to share?
So my younger brother. So my younger brother at the point has felt neglected, felt, we've lost our parents, no one is there for us, and all of that. So he moved to Australia. So before he moved to Australia, he had so many thoughts, suicide thoughts, and so many things and all. And then I asked him a question earlier before we started recording that how does he handle people using him as emotional dump? Everybody just come dump things on you. So I think I was at that spot that period in time where I have friends talking to me, I have families talking to me about their own problems. And I feel like I can't take it anymore. Like there's nothing you want to say anymore. Like I feel like I'm breaking down. And I've got to empty the cup so I can take more. And at that point I needed to be there for my brother because my brother needed me more. So I needed to empty what I had on me already. Sorry about that. I needed to empty what I had in me already, and I just okay, it's high time I let this thing go. And I mean, ever since that day,
Was it like a load just being lifted from your shoulder?
yeah, because I mean, at times it's not a function of how much money or how much influence the person is able to, or the person even being able to solve the problem. But the major thing was the fact that at that point in time, there was, I mean, I haven't spoken to her about all I was going through. I felt like there's someone that finally understands, that acknowledge everything I've been through.
Yeah.
I mean, when you talk to people like that, they'll tell you, "Oh, don't worry, be a man." They'll tell you,
Oh yeah.
"Oh, you."
Yeah, that
They'll
is-
tell you,
man.
yeah, they'll tell you,
Oh
you-
yeah.
They'll
And
tell
trust
you-
me, 90% of the people that tell you things like that have not had that experience.
Yeah.
And then they tell you that you have it under control. They tell you, don't worry. And then some even make it look as if you're trying to look for a pity party. And that's the honest truth. The truth is, and I can say it to anyone, is I don't think I've ever gotten an handout from anyone to say, "Oh, David, don't worry, take this. Oh, David, take that." No. I literally have to work twice as hard more than everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
I literally have to prove to myself every day that I'm not a failure. Literally. And I've been through this. I've seen it all. I've had my own fair share of it. And in fact, it's made me very more intentional about my family at the moment, about what I want to do, about the plans I have, and like
that's
serving.
another
Yeah.
thing sorry to cut you in. That's another thing that I want to quickly mention here. To people that might be going through difficulty.
Yeah.
The truth is, as difficult as it may sound, you need to find the purpose in the pain.
Yeah.
Because for every experience, I've come to understand that it's not a coincidence.
Yeah.
And whether we like it or not, over time, we begin to attract people that have had similar experience. And many of us are not vulnerable enough to share.
Yeah.
And you don't know that in sharing, you're actually giving hope to somebody else.
And
So-
also healing.
Healing. I was going to say that the reason why you felt better after that is because you shared. There is a tremendous amount of healing that comes from sharing. It's just like speaking Yoruba to someone that doesn't understand, but you're just saying and saying and saying. Even if the person did not understand you,
Yeah.
because you let it out, there's like a burden that is lifted off.
Yeah.
So people need to find the purpose in the pain. It's literally, it's like a spring that takes you to the next level.
Sadly, we're out of time and we've got to round this off. Just before we go, again, in addition to, I'll ask this last question. Okay, maybe not your question, but maybe a statement to complement what you've said. Is so many people just naturally, people will say share your story, but at times I think people should be careful who they share their stories with, or else it will turn to gist somewhere else. And I think that's one of the reasons why people don't share. All right, real quick, any last word for people grieving people? What do you have to say to them?
I mean, the same thing I just said a few seconds ago. We grieve differently. You can't expect someone to grieve the way A grieves. B should grieve the way C grieves. No. And we respect how people choose to grieve, and how long it takes them to grieve as well. But however, there's always a purpose in it. Many people that are great inventors, it came from pain. Mark Zuckerberg needed to communicate with his girlfriend, and that's how Facebook came about.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Nice.
from his dormitory at Harvard. And so until we find the purpose in pain, many times it's in our calling. So as difficult as it may be right now, there is a purpose in that pain.
All right. Thank you very much. Anton, over to you.
Thank you very much. You heard it all.
Why is everybody feeling so emotional, so down?
no. Maybe what I'll just say is don't be too harsh on yourself. Don't jump the process. You're allowed to feel what you feel. You don't have to. I mean, just listening to her and listening to David, how they had to step up, how they had to fill some shoes, some vacuum. Even if you're in that situation, don't be too hard on yourself. Make the mistakes, learn from it, and just heal. Find a way to heal. You just need to find a way to heal.
All right, thank you guys, and thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us on today's episode. You've heard it all. Please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. We'll be back next weekend. Happy birthday once again, and
Happy birthday.
Oh yeah.
All right.